Program insurance continues to see robust growth. Creative underwriting combined with a need for new products seems to be driving that growth. I'm John Weber for AM Best TV. My guest today is Matt Power. Matt is president of 180 Intermediaries. Matt, good to see you.
John, it's good to see you.
Matt, what's going on in the way of programs these days?
Well, program business, in my view, really kind of denotes specialization. And there's definitely been a move towards specialization, especially given the recent market shifts and the conditions that we face today. There's more and more business coming into the excess and surplus line sector. And as a result, increasingly business is being handled by generalists. And really what the retail broker is looking for to solve problems effectively is specialization. And that's really what program managers speak to.
Is that what's driving the growth?
Well, there's a lot of growth and interest in programs, and it comes from a number of different angles. One, there's a robust M&A environment for program administrators. Increasingly, you see sole proprietors, program managers that want to sell their firms based on the valuations that they perceive in the market. Sometimes it's driven by succession. But there's an increased interest on the part of carriers to partner with program managers effectively to drive costs down and be more efficient in their business model.
You mentioned M&A. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But before we do, I want to talk about InsurTech with you. Is InsurTech having as much impact on the program space as it is having on other sectors of the insurance industry?
Well, I'd say it's not having the anticipated effect. I think if we were sitting here 2 or 3 years ago, we viewed InsurTech very much as is something that was going to come in and change and create broad shifts in the business, right? The reality is that the InsurTech is much more of an enabler than a disabler. And so you see pockets where InsurTech has become important in program administration. Think about the transportation industry and in some of the InsurTech solutions that have been brought to bear to create safer roads, safer drivers, safer environments for workers. But I do think that InsurTech today, I view it much more as enabling as opposed to the sort of disabling force that we saw it as potentially 2 or 3 years ago.
Where do you see program and wholesale headed?
Well, I think it's increasingly, this is a very, very busy space. I think that if we looked at 6 months of last year, double digits increases in most stamping offices for excess and surplus lines. I think by the time the bill is tallied, I think the excess and surplus lines market in the U.S. is north of $50 billion. And so that there's going to be increased scrutiny and focus on best-in-class distribution partners on the part of retailers in terms of wholesale. Wholesale is going to grow. It's going to be robust. This is a prolonged period of market disruption that we're facing, and so it's going to be quite important. Again, on the program side, I think it's a great opportunity for the excess and surplus lines industry to differentiate. If you can be best-in-class in a specific area of the business, that business will find you. It'll seek you out. And specialization, to me, is really the important driver of this market from an E&S perspective.
So let's get back to M&A. Is M&A having an impact on that?
Well, certainly. I mean, the M&A activity is as robust as it's probably been in the last 10 years for brokers generally, for specialists particularly. And it's been, a core part of how we've built 180 over the last 12 months.
Speaking of that, 180 has had some recent acquisitions. Can you tell us about that?
We have. We announced just a few weeks ago that we had acquired Maritime Program Group located in Connecticut. Maritime is in my view, the premier recreational yacht broker in the United States. They do a lot of other things, but it's a great firm and it brings a lot of capabilities to 180. And then this week we announced the acquisition of Vista Underwriting Managers in Media, Pennsylvania. They're an employer stop-loss broker, great firm. And again, one that really epitomizes, in my view, specialization because they're focused on a specific segment of the business. They do it really, really well. They have a great client base, and it's just a great team. So
is this going to be a trend for 180?
Listen, I think the opportunity for us in 2020 is organic growth. We now have approximately 8 brokerage operations that comprise 180. We have a robust pipeline as well, but creating the synergies between those operating units, the cross-sell potential of those operating units is paramount in my view. I believe that M&A will also be a part of that growth picture in 2020, but again, we're going to be selective We're looking for assets that are highly differentiated, that are specialized, and create real value for customers.
So let's talk a little bit more about 2020. What should we expect to see out of 180? What should we expect to see out of Matt Power?
Well, in terms of 180, I think you'll see a continued presence in the marketplace. You'll see growth. Again, we like the market that we're in right now. Many of our businesses are growing at double digits, lock and step with the E&S market. So we see great growth potential. I think the way that we will present ourselves to the market will be more cohesive, because now we have a singular approach, a singular brand that we can bring to the market and bring all of these capabilities, whether they're from transportation, whether they're recreational marine, binding authorities, wholesale broking businesses. We can bring all of those assets together more effectively and articulate a value proposition as we go forward. So you'll continue to see us very active in the marketplace and hopefully growing. I mean, I've got a vision that 180 will be a top 10 wholesaler within the next 12 months. So it's a lofty goal, but it's one that I think we can achieve.
Matt, always great to see you, and don't be a stranger.
All right, thanks, John.
Thanks, Matt. That was Matt Power, and I'm John Weber for AM Best TV.